Okay. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm gonna try to make this as quick as possible. So the difference between, this is what I saw in the video. It shows there is male, which is the lowercase of M, and there's a man with the uppercase M. A man is physical, mental, emotional, and spiritually strong. So they're physically strong, mentally strong, emotionally strong, and spiritually strong. And becoming a man, it's an everyday process for us to be processed into until literal death. And we need to continue with our process of this. It's the only way. Now, I have notes before I get into this. It is what a man looks like. So number one, physically strong. It means he puts effort into being physically strong. And if applied correctly, he will also become mentally, emotionally, and spiritually strong. Number two, grit. To really overcome heart and have guts. It's not weak. It's not a passive man. Not a man who is overly whiny or an overly emotional, like a girl, like a little tiny girl, like a little girl that gets cut overly emotionally. That's not what a grit means. Someone who overcomes. And number three, clarity of the bigger picture. That's more of like has vision and is able to see things, sees danger, like sees the outcome, the bigger picture of things. To see whenever something is heading in the wrong direction. Not prideful and thinking, well, like this is an example, well, my kids aren't like other kids. They're Christian. They're not going to do this. They're not going to have sex. They're not going to sin. No, that's the wrong way. That is extremely wrong. Just because I'm a Christian doesn't mean I'm not going to sin. I'm going to sin a lot in my life. But it's because of Jesus that I am saved, that he died and took my punishment. Just because you're a Christian does not, or just because you have good morals does not mean you're not going to sin. You're going to sin, and you need to be able to accept that nobody's perfect. Just because they're your kids or that you've taught them the right way does not mean that they're going to always be the right way. It doesn't mean that they're going to be perfect, and we're not going to be perfect as men either. It's a process. Number four, discipline and self-control. Self-control over his emotions, actions, and responses. So we're controlling what we say, what we do, like we're controlling what our feelings say and not basing our actions, basing our speech on what our feelings are, but what is right. And he has disciplined in his lifestyle. He has a disciplined lifestyle. Puts in guardrails, protecting himself. And I've talked about this before. You're guarding yourself and putting restrictions between relationships. Because since you're a Christian, you don't have the liability, you don't have that wiggle room. You know the knowledge now. You know what is right and what is wrong now. So you have to obey it. Or you will be disobeying God. You will be sinning all your life and not repenting. You need to obey these. You need to put up rails between, like iron rails, stiff and firm rails that will not be passed, will not be jumped over between people. You are a sinner. Stop living with the pride of your own thinking, going around saying, well, I'm different. I'm a Christian. I know what's right, so I'll do what's right. doesn't mean that. You're going to sin. So that's why we need to put restrictions. We need to put our guard up on things. Just because you love that girl doesn't mean you're not going to sin with that girl. When you put those restrictions, you're saying, no, I am not doing this. I'm not even going to let anything come close to it. I'm going to put it all away, focus on what the real true goal is, and that is Jesus Christ. You're growing with him, and she's growing with him as well. Y'all grow with him together. It's not like, oh, push her aside, I don't want her anymore. You're with her, but you're also trying to grow yourself and help her, and by pointing her towards God and helping her get to that situation of growing with him as well. It's all about growth. And be on guard. Number 5, honor and integrity. He needs to have respect towards others. Without respect, that's a big trait, respect. Without respect, what do you have, man? Like, if you can't respect your boyfriend, if you can't respect your girlfriend, what are you doing, bro? Like, if they're not respectable, if you can't find a way to respect them, like, what? They need to be respectful. That is a big thing. They need to be respectful. Their ego is what we're going to talk about in a sec. They need confidence. Number 6, confidence and humility. That's what a man needs. Not an ego-driven man, but a confident in the Lord man. He is driven by the Lord. He is driven by the Lord's strength and confidence that he has been given by the Lord. Not prideful nor arrogant. And humility, the reason why it's main important is because it keeps that confidence from becoming ego. Without humility, it all crumbles. And number 7, a wild heart. A man needs a little stubbornness. He needs to put his foot in the ground. He needs to stand by what he believes in. He needs to stand by what is right. Not if it just benefits you. Because, I mean, you can be in a pit. You can be stranded on an island. You can be in the decision of either dying for someone else who is suffering or walking away for your own benefit. It is what doing right is, by not just yourself, but what the Lord sees, what the Lord says is right. He is just, he is righteous. That is what is right. The Lord, what he says is right, that is what is right. So, by standing by what is right, we don't move from that position. As a man, we cannot move from that position. Number 8, an appreciation in pain and failure. I say this all the time at Lyft. Without pain, without failure, there's not really growth. There's not a drive to grow. Like, without struggle, I don't want to grow. Like, if I'm always happy, I'm always like on the top of the top, I'm like, I'm winning, I'm always winning. You know, there's not really a drive to truly continue, if that makes sense. So we need to understand that, like, pain and suffering, it is not just to keep you down. It's to bring you up. The way that God designed the world is for us to develop as men. To not be afraid of pain and failure. Because if you're afraid of pain and failure, you're afraid of growth. You're afraid of growth. Like, put it like this. Your son, all right, in a sport or whatever he's doing, he loses. He gets second place. Or let's say he gets 7th place. And the wrong way to go to it is like, buddy, you did awesome, great job. You did everything good. That is the wrong way to put it, bro. If you put him with a mentality of that he's doing right just by losing and not growing, you're going to create a male. You're going to create a wuss. He's not going to win in life. He's not going to strive to be successful. If he loses, he loses. All right? If he loses, for him in order to win, he's got to put some work in it. Like, you can't not be good at something and then think you're all fine and you'll be successful if you don't put in the work for it. If you don't put in work for something, if you don't put in effort and time and dedication and discipline into that thing, you're not going to be successful. If you're just lazy and you're just sitting there doing nothing, if you're not striving to learn something, to actually put action to something, you're not going to grow. You're not going to learn. You're not going to succeed. So really, all this, it strives a man to succession. This is succession. This is a man succeeding. Now getting to stuff. So, as we're talking to this, a man's physical. So, physical struggle, pain, failure, that is what produces a man. You must actively put yourself in those situations deliberately so you can continue to become a man. And the reason for this, because back then, the world made you a man. Now society wants you to be a male. They want you to be a male. The world's not making you a man. All right? It was way tougher times back then. Now, every day people are just sitting on their games, doing nothing, wasting their life. And I mean, I'm going to be completely honest, that was me. Sometimes in my life, it is me. Right now. Early this morning, I stayed in bed for 2 hours. And then I got up and did this. I studied this. Because there needs to be a change. There needs to be change in our lives. We need to stop letting ourselves become lazy, weak, and pathetic. We need to actively put ourselves in situations that make it a struggle, that are painful, that are failing, like we fail. All right, something like sports. You're going to fail in sports. You're going to fail somehow. You're going to make the wrong play sometimes. But it's to deliberately act on that. Like you grow from that. Because we need that failure to grow. We need that pain. We need that struggle. As they say, no pain, no gain. All right? When you're in a gym, if you're feeling amazing the whole time and don't feel any pain, don't feel any struggle in it, do you really think you're going to grow? Do you really think you're going to get big muscles, bigger mass, or anything? If you're eating to bulk up and it's more calories than you usually do, and you're feeling too full and it hurts to eat more, but you need to eat. Do you think that mentality of just putting it aside and losing weight going to get you the higher weight that you desire? No, it's putting that effort into fully going past your limits, into what your feelings are saying, and just doing it. Just doing it. That's all it takes. You have to do. All right? Then this year, the physical side, This produces a mental fortitude. Mental fortitude that you need as a man. It builds your character, mentality, and it makes you strong mentally. It makes you strong mentally. And being strong mentally, this produces an emotional and spiritual strength. Emotional and spiritual strength. So as we look in here, physical, number one, it produces a mental fortitude. And that produces an emotional and spiritual fortitude. So we have physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And I will get in this in a second, but there is a starting point in everything. But we'll get there in a sec. So, and going off on spiritual, just to everyone nowadays is doing this. I did it. I was doing it. To focus on spiritual and emotional, like strengths, isn't how you become a man. Just those. Because if you focus on just those, your strength and your mentality, your mental and strength and physicality will not fall and lead off about that. There's a different way you need to go about it. So physical and mental strength will lead us to be stronger in areas such as spiritually and emotionally. Even though those things lead to stronger spiritually and emotionally, we must be grounded spiritually. We must have a foundation to build upon. If you don't have that foundation, it's really not going to work. It's just going to crumble on your face, and you're going to be a misery. You're going to be a threat. You're going to be awful. You're going to be a horrible man. Without it, you will be broken emotionally because you have nothing guiding you and no authority above you. So you will be self-absorbed. There's nothing leading you. If you're the only one leading yourself, you're going to fail. That's why we need Christ. That's why we need God's guidance in life and his wisdom and we need him. We need him. All right, we cannot do it on our own. If we do it on our own, as a sinful human father, the Father, he says we can't do it without him. We can't. You will be self-absorbed. You will be weak emotionally, broken, and you will be a disaster, especially to women, especially to your women. Now, if you start in these two places, physically and spiritually, mental and emotionally, those strengths, they will come. So, it starts with, hey, I'm making a video.
Okay, Taylor's not here anymore. Corbin's dad just came and picked him up, so Taylor's at Corbin's house.
Okay.
I'm about to go.
Alright, love it.
Y'all give some I gotta get some tattoo stuff too.
Anyways,
be quiet though.
It starts at the beginning, being grounded and bounded by spiritual sense. Spiritually. Now, the mental and emotional, we don't start there. Our strength and physically, with our struggle, pain, failure, our discipline, our physically strong things, putting that effort in, that will help with those two things, physical and spiritual, will help produce the mental and emotional strengths. So, physical and spiritual the spiritualness, the spirit is your ground. Physical, and then in the middle, you have emotional and spiritual. Emotional. Mental and emotional. These things will add upon these two things. You get that? So you must start here to grow here. So everything will be in order. It will all work out that way. Through Christ, it will all work out. But you need to have that firm foundation and that effort and discipline to have that mental and emotional strength.